stress makes people sick. And on the basis that stress makes people sick, relaxation will help to make them better. How can we negate the effects of stress? How do we breathe when we get stressed? We breathe faster, we breathe shallow, we breathe irregular, and this is keeping the body in that state of fight or flight. So what are we doing? I'm saying to people, I need you to breathe through your nose. I need you to gently slow down your breathing. I need you to use your diaphragm, and I need you to adopt a cadence of the breath. Because when we're looking at the breathing, we need to consider that it's not just about diaphragmatic breathing, or it's not just about breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, or it's not just about take a deep breath when you're stressed. The information, take a deep breath when you're stressed, is absolute nonsense. It is based on nothing, and it helps nobody, because if we have a belief that it's good to be taking in that huge big breath, are we really making any positive change in the body? And what I would say to people is, start just gently slowing down your breath, even to the point of a slight air hunger, by just relaxing your breathing through the nose, and, just even concentrate on that. Does it change your body temperature? Does it increase the amount of saliva in the mouth? Do you feel different?
Yeah. I mean, there is so much to talk about with respect to how we breathe and those three elements, or those three pillars of breathing. It's one of those things. Take a deep breath. As we've already discussed, we made a little video for people on that. But the whole idea of taking a deep breath, you're not actually against it. You're just against the way most people interpret that and what they do. So we would demonstrate that if to most people who say, hey, take a deep breath, what do? They sort of open the mouth, lift the chest up, breathing from the chest, breathing through the mouth. And you're saying there is another way to take a deep breath, which is using your diaphragm through the nose, slow and quiet.
I'm saying to do the absolute opposite to how you breathe when you are stressed. When we breathe when we are stressed, we sigh more. We breathe faster, we breathe shallow. Instead of sighing, we want to achieve regular breathing. Instead of breathing faster, we want to slow down the breath. Instead of breathing using the chest, we want to breathe using the diaphragm. And the pillar or the crux or the foundation of this is breathe in and out through your nose. It's amazing sometimes that science is catching up with this. If you go into Google and if you type in slow breathing, Stanford Medical School, in March of 2017, researchers, they first identified this structure in the brain of mice. And they said that this structure is different because it's spying on your breathing. And if you breathe fast, this structure is relaying signals of agitation to the rest of the brain, but it's also more likely to waken you from sleep. And if you breathe slow, this structure is relaying signals of calm to the rest of the brain. There is such a feedback loop here. Stress and anxiety is causing our breathing to be faster, but faster breathing is feeding back into stress and anxiety.
I mean, absolutely. I always talk to people about this idea that breathing is information, right? And I say to people that, look, if you're rushing around, if you've got a work deadline, if you're trying to get all your emails done and you're not aware, almost certainly your breathing will change, right? You're going to be breathing faster. You're going to be breathing more from your chest, your upper chest, and from your diaphragm. And that's going to send signals to your brain on a very primal level that there is danger in my environment. Things aren't going well, which then the brain will send signals back down to your breathing, and you'll be in this feed-forward cycle where you start to breathe faster and faster and faster. But the beautiful thing about that is you can hack that, for want of a better term, straight away by changing the way you breathe. Because if you change the way you breathe, if you slow it down, if it's more diaphragmatic than from the chest, well, you're sending calm signals up to the brain, and the brain is then sending those calm signals back down. So it's a very simple way for people to understand breathing is information. The way you breathe is the way you live.
And by gently slowing down your breath, and a lot of the research is centering around 6 breaths per minute. So when I'm working with a client, the first time what we'll do is we work on the biochemistry of breathing. So we generate air hunger. Then I will spend so much time working on the biomechanics of breathing. Then I will work on the cadence of the breath. And I have the client simply breathe in 2, 3, 4, and out 3, 4, 5, 6. And I continue with that. And we are changing the respiratory rate from their normal spontaneous breathing down to 6 breaths per minute. Why? Because the research shows that you can influence the autonomic nervous system, bodily systems which have been disturbed by stress, especially long-term stress. And the research is looking at post-traumatic stress disorder, irritable bowel syndrome, anxiety, and also depression has been featured. That when you slow down the respiratory rate to 6 breaths per minute, it's stimulating the vagus nerve, it's increasing heart rate variability, it's increasing the synchronicity between your respiration and the timing of your heartbeat. And it's also exercising or increasing the sensitivity of baroreceptors. Now, I'll just talk about those for just one moment.
Yeah, sure.
Our body has an innate capability and a need to be able to respond well to the environment. We need to have a balance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. If a challenge comes our way, we should be able to adapt to it. Life is always going to throw us a curved ball. How does our body react to it? This is about resilience. And people with really good functioning of the autonomic nervous system, they can cope better with what life is throwing at them. Now, in terms of can you improve that? If you read a paper or an article by Mark Russo, it's called Slow Breathing. You will see that they have done quite a lot of research looking at the application of slow breathing to general health. When you slow down the breath to 6 breaths per minute, you stimulate baroreceptors, which are pressure receptors in the major blood vessels, in the aorta and in the carotid arteries, and they become more sensitive. So when there's an increase of your blood pressure, the baroreceptors send an immediate message to cause your blood vessels to dilate and your heart rate to slow down so that it brings down your blood pressure. But conversely, if your blood pressure is low, the baroreceptors immediately react that by causing your blood vessels to constrict and your heart rate to increase to normalize your blood pressure. But the sensitivity of your baroreceptors are a very good marker of your resilience in life. Now, it's not just about slow breathing. As you pointed out, we do breath holding as well. Now, why would we do breath holding? We want, to stress the body a little bit because we can cause adaptations to happen there. Like modern life now, it's all about comfort.
Yeah.
But throughout our evolution, we were always exposed to little stressors. And I think it's good. Physical exercise is a stress. Going into a cold environment is a stress. We can improve our ability to cope by doing stressors, and breath holding is a stressor. To give you an example, if I give a presentation and I talk quite a lot and I'm giving presentations to different groups of people, and I used to get a little bit anxious of it because, of course, you're going out and I don't like using PowerPoint, so I'll often talk off the cuff. And you can be talking for an hour and you've no backup. And the reason that I don't like PowerPoints is because people get hypnotized by this white light and they're not looking at me at all. I want to connect directly with the audience in front of me. So what would I do? Before the event, I would go into a separate room and I would really slow down my breathing and take my attention out of the mind onto the breath and bring a quietness to the mind and bring myself into the zone. But then I'm too relaxed. I have focus, but I'm too relaxed. Then I do 5 strong breath holds because this increases blood flow to the brain. It opens up my nose, it opens up my lungs, it puts me into that state of preparedness. And then I go out.
And how do you do those breath holds?
So I will be in the room. I know I'm about to talk in say 5 or 10 minutes. I'll take a breath in through my nose, a breath out through my nose, I pinch my nose, and I simply walk around holding my breath until I feel a medium to strong air hunger. Then I let go. I breathe through my nose. I calm my breathing. I wait a minute. I do it again. I'll do about 5 of them. We also have athletes do it pre-competition.
Yeah.
And it's really good for alertness because you want to be going, if you're making a presentation, you want to be relaxed and focused, but you don't want to be too relaxed. I want to have absolute stillness of the mind whereby I can focus 100% of my attention on the delivery. And I want my attention to move simultaneously with time. I spent 20 years living in my head, stuck in my head, and with all of my attention pretty much thinking all the time. And, you know, this is another topic for conversation, because Western education, it has gave us a great ability to think. We can decipher, we can break information into tiny pieces, we can reason. We have been trained how to think, but we have not been trained how to stop thinking.
Yeah.
We need also to be able to bring a solitude to the mind. How can you create gaps between thoughts? And it's not that we want to turn the individual into vegetable, but we want to have choice. We don't even hardly pay attention to what we're thinking about. We're talking about lack of awareness of the breath. How about lack of awareness of the mind?
Really hope you enjoyed that conversation. Please do think about one thing that you can take and apply into your life. Inspiration is not enough, you need to take action. If you did enjoy that, please do press subscribe, hit that notification bell, and why not check out this conversation that I picked out that acts as the perfect follow-up.